I have this fan control relay someone sent me to repair. This is a 76 and 77 California spec carb fan controller, and this thing hooks up a little different than the later ones. It provides basically a dry contact. You see the red and yellow wires. They're wired out to these two front wires. And so I have the external circuit set up with a power supply that runs over here through my test light and then back through that contact. So I know that the relay's picked up right now and it's timing out. And you start it with touching the ignition wire to the positive wire, and it times out. This one times out in about 16 minutes. And to see if that seemed reasonable, since I don't have the spec for it, this circuit is basically an RC circuit. It has that capacitor right there that I replaced with similar, with the same value, 470 microfarad. And there's a resistor right there, 1.5 meg resistor. And those two are wired in parallel. And that's what is doing the timing of this circuit. And I'm monitoring one side of that capacitor, the voltage. And if you can see it there, it's slowly decreasing. It starts out around 8 volts and runs down to about 2.25 volts. And so if you do the math, the timer times out in 16 minutes, which is 960 seconds. But if you take the difference in the voltages, it starts at 8, drops out at 2.24. It should take mathematically 898 seconds, so that's pretty close, given the tolerances of components. And again, this is how this one wires up. You can see one side, and it just provides a dry contact. One side would go to 12 volts, the other side would go to your temperature sensor and carb fan that are wired in series and then grounded. That temperature sensor, when this thing is running, the temperature sensor will go ahead and cycle that carb fan on and off as needed. So that's a switch. Unlike the later ones that are actually thermistors that are variable resistor, that temperature sensor is a switch, so be careful if you've got a 76, 77 California spec truck. That temperature sensor is different than the later ones. And then plus 12 volts and ground, and then the input from the ignition to start the timer. So that's it for this one. Everything looks pretty good on this, and we'll just test it a little bit more and button it back up.